Good morning, everybody. Dr. Patmos here, June 2nd, 2026, and the Parade of the Unqualified continues. As those of you who follow my Substack know, I have been on a rant for years now that Trump appoints unqualified people to very important positions. And today is no exception. Today, he announced the appointment of William Pulte as the director of national intelligence after he ousted Tulsi Gabbard. Well, who exactly is William Pulte? It's very important for you to know that. He's a public official. He's got your safety and the safety of Americans in his hands as director of national intelligence. What's his background? First of all, he has, because you always start with the resume first and you dissect it carefully. So here's his resume. He's got a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. That's it. He has no additional qualifications or educational credentials beyond that. He's got a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. He is the grandson of one of the biggest builders, home builders in America. So he grew up in home building. That's his in the industry he knows, and he spent most of his adult life as chairman of the Pulte Group, which is a investment capital group that basically is a home builder. So when you drive down the street and you see the flags flapping in the breeze that says "New homes here," that's him. He's one. That's what he does. The guy builds houses, and in the last couple of years, because he was a big house builder and like friends with Donald Trump, he got appointed to be chairman of the housing administration and Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and these basically mortgage entities where he oversees the mortgages, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac mortgages. So you have a home builder and a mortgage broker kind of guy now in charge of national intelligence. Does that seem odd to you? It ought to, because the man has no background, none whatsoever at all, in what he's now going to be overseeing. So, look, I do believe that sometimes in executive searches, recruiters will stay too close to the belief that you have to have someone who was a CEO in the prior role before you appoint them in a similar prior role before they can be appointed to a new role. And I do think taking qualified people from different backgrounds is a good thing to do. But this is way beyond that. This is a home builder mortgage guy in charge of all of, in national intelligence. What is national intelligence? It's a military thing. It's the CIA. It's overseeing spying and all of our collection of intelligence. He has no background in any of that, none whatsoever. It's obviously an incorrect kind of appointment, and it just reflects the fact that Trump has nobody that he can appoint that he will allow to be appointed. Trump wants sycophants. He wants somebody who will execute his vengeance and his, what's the term he uses, retribution. Trump is all about retribution, and now he wants to put in charge people who will execute retribution for him. That's what Trump does. He doesn't put people in charge who are qualified. He puts the public safety and the safety of the United States at risk for his own personal vengeance and retribution. And that's what he's doing again. Now, this is not the first time. Nearly all of Trump's appointments are completely unqualified for their roles. And I've talked about this many, many, many times. Robert Kennedy has no background at all in health, science, medicine, biology, public health, healthcare delivery. He knows nothing about that at all. He's an environmental lawyer who's made a buck suing for vaccine injuries that don't exist. That's what he is. He's basically a vaccine injury con artist who's now in charge of Health and Human Services. Who else has been appointed that's unqualified? Dr. Bhattacharya, who's in charge of not only CDC as the interim director of CDC, but also the NIH, has not one day of education in medicine beyond his medical degree. No internship, never did a day of internship, residency, fellowship. He's not board certified, not board eligible, no hospital privileges, no clinical experience, no formal research training in bench research and molecular biology, biochemistry, or any of that sort of research. All of his research has basically been policy. He's an economist. He's got a PhD in economics. And so you have an economist who's a buddy of Trump and a sycophant who's basically deeply aligned with the anti-vax movement in charge of all of CDC and NIH. And he's appointed the same kinds of people, unqualified people, repeatedly. You see this throughout the entire Trump administration. He doesn't, I don't either. He doesn't understand the need for the proper background for a job, or he doesn't care that these people don't have the proper background. He just wants people in place who will do what he tells them to do, irrespective of whether or not it's good for the country. A perfect example is just the other day, Trump ordered Kennedy to abandon the U.S. Vaccine schedule and to follow a vaccine schedule of Denmark. Uh, Even though what they're claiming in the vaccine schedule at Denmark is not actually correct. They think they're counting vaccines wrong, and they're saying if Denmark gives so many fewer vaccines, well, they do give a couple fewer vaccines, but not the difference is not that dramatic. And the reason why they can do it is because they have an integrated health system where everybody gets care, and kids and babies all get care. In the United States, we don't have that. We have a system where a lot of people are just completely left out and don't have access to health care except to the emergency room in a dire life and death emergency, which is not the place to get primary care. Anyhow, the story today is the parade of unqualified people continues. And I had, been talking about this for a long time, but there's not enough attention in the media from investigative journalists as to the qualifications or lack of qualifications of Trump appointees. They don't vet the credentials very thoroughly or at all. And it's time for the media to pick up on this and go one by one, look at every one of Trump's appointees, dissect their resume, dissect their CV, do primary source verification, fact check the resumes and the CVs, and then ask whether or not this person is actually qualified for the role they're being put in. You will find, if you do that, that Trump has appointed people who have fraudulent CVs, embellished, exaggerated CVs with fabricated content, backgrounds that don't match, backgrounds that don't, you can't even verify that they've even had these jobs that they claim on their background, and they're now in charge of things or have been in charge of very important things that affect the United States and the health of Americans. It's just another day in the parade of the unqualified. And another reason why they've got to get this insane guy out of office. He's doing such damage to the country. He's destroyed our public health infrastructure. We now are leaderless on the world stage when it comes to these various infections like Ebola and hantavirus and everything else infection wise. I mean, the CDC has been completely gutted. It's almost a non-functional organization anymore. And we have to get this man out, and we have less than 6 months to do it. So pay attention.